Hi, my name is Madison Whitaker, and this will be my PowerPoint presentation over the science of reading. In this presentation, I will discuss a few different things. First, I will discuss what exactly the science of reading is, the four theoretical models, which include the simple view of reading, Scarborough's reading rope, Airy's phases, and the four-part mental processor. Along with that, I will discuss what and why phonological awareness is important, phonics, fluency, and vocabulary. Along with that, I will then talk about code emphasis, first meaning emphasis, and orthographic mapping. What is the science of reading? The science of reading is comprised of four different parts that I previously just stated that include fluency, phonological awareness, phonics, and vocabulary. I will discuss about those in greater detail, but they are the four parts that make up what the science of reading is. The point of the science of reading is to help children from a young age build a strong foundation so that they can succeed and have fluency and reading comprehension. It is also great because it is so specific of what the criteria is for it, the skills that are needed, interventions for it, that it's great for teachers because it gives clear instruction. A few important factors that, just to let you know a little bit more about the science of reading, is that you should give immediate feedback and correction when you see errors and have active participation when you're teaching students. This is because if you correct these issues at the beginning, it will lessen the chances of them falling into a snowball effect and getting worse. Now I'll begin talking about theoretical models. The first I'll talk about is Airy's phases. This was created by Linnea Airy in 1995 in a paper that he published. Its four phases are pre-alphabetic, partial alphabetic, full alphabetic, and consolidated alphabetic. First I'll talk about pre-alphabetic, and in the first sequence you really aren't even reading words in this developmental stage. You are just being able to gain knowledge through visual features and cues, and this includes things like they might not know that the word says McDonald's, but when they see the McDonald's signs, they've learned to associate it and know that that means they're at McDonald's, and they don't really know what the word is saying. Then moving into partial alphabetic phase, which is the next, the main emphasis is that readers begin to read letters and they try to pronounce them. The most important of this part is that they are mainly focusing on the first and last letters because they're the most important, because they can put them into memory for retrieval later on. Moving into the next is full alphabetic phase. This is the next desired step because readers can create full alphabetic connections and they can map things in sight words with graphemes. They can also move from decoding, because they're able to map that they're able to comprehend more of text, and this is according to Beach's article. Consolidated is the last phase in Airy's model, and the focus is putting reoccurring letter patterns into consolidated memory. This can lessen the memory load for people, and it's basically just making sure they're continuing to learn and grow. This is not an end-all phase. There's always more they can learn, and it helps them build this and consolidate it into memory, lessening the load, as I just stated. The next theoretical model is the four-part mental processor. The four parts are speech, sound awareness, sound symbol associations, language comprehension, and letter pattern recognition. These four parts all have very specific jobs that are important and have to work together to create fluency and reading comprehension, but the specific jobs of the processing systems that I just stated are the phonological processor, context processor, meaning processor, and orthographic processor, and this is according to the chapter that was put out by Letters. Phonological processor has the job of giving us the ability to produce patterns into speech, and this is being able to read written words and move them off of the page into verbalizing them. Speech sound awareness, as I talked about, is in the back part of the frontal lobe, and letter pattern recognition and sound symbol associations are in the back of the brain. Language comprehension is in the left front side of the brain. Just to let you have an idea of how all these 4 parts are in the different areas of our brain, but all work together, and if one isn't working, it hinders your reading skills. The orthographic processor's job is to recognize letters and their marks. It gives us the ability to recognize different words and whole units of spelling, which if you can recognize a letter and multiple different letters, you can put those together to recognize a whole word. The meaning processor stores your meaning of the words and the different meanings of specific words, since some have multiple meanings, into memory. The context processor goes along with the meaning processor, and this gives us the ability to, when we're reading something in that exact moment, understand what the context of it is, because there's different meanings for the word so, and it is spelt differently. But for example, if they're reading and they can sound out a word and know it says so, they might not know the difference that it means they are sewing fabric or that they are sewing in a field, planting something. The next model is the simple view of reading. All of these parts work together, and it's the idea that word recognition combined with language comprehension will lead to reading comprehension with the Munger article. Both are very important, but if one is not fully developed, it will severely affect the other areas and their ability to have fluency in reading. Decoding is encompassed under word recognition with sight recognition and phonological awareness. If you are reading, for example, a long chapter book and you are having good language comprehension, but you or you're having good word recognition but not language comprehension, you will not be a fluent reader and your reading comprehension will suffer. This is a great model for teachers because it gives us a good reference for if a child we can tell they're struggling with language comprehension. We can look under what specific skills go with that, or if they're struggling with word recognition, we can look under it and go, okay, is there a real issue coming from sight recognition, decoding, or phonological awareness? And it gives you a great place for intervention for RTI to help them. The next theoretical model is Scarborough's reading rope. This model is very similar to the simple view of reading because they both have the same basis. This is mainly just a very visual that shows you how they all intertwine and work together, and all are necessary, because sometimes I think you overlook a certain skill thinking one is more important than the other, when really they're all important and all needed. Language comprehension and word recognition are the 2 overarching parts according to the site with the article over Scarborough's reading rope. Then it talks about how the different parts that break into the word recognition and language comprehension. This was mainly created as a visual representation that can help you understand, along with show all the dependency that the parts have to each other. It's also great because it can be shown to a wide range of audiences to help them see where the reader is struggling and how the parts work together. I think it's really specifically great for teachers to be able to use when meeting with parents to help them explain things in a more simple way that can help the parents look at the whole process and see what their child is needing. This is an image of the Scarborough's reading rope, and as you can see, the parts that go into language comprehension include background knowledge, vocabulary, language structures, verbal reasoning, literacy knowledge, and then with word recognition is phonological awareness, decoding, and sight recognition. And if all of these blend together and work and become increasingly stronger, it leads to a skilled reader. Phonological awareness. What is phonological awareness? It is the ability to notice spoken sound in words, and it's the ability to work with individual sounds from a word and manipulate them. And by this I mean if you have the word cat and they know what each sound is from the word, they will be able to take the k when you ask them to replace it with making and understand that the new word is mat. Phonological awareness is filled with different skills it also builds to other skills. It is a very foundational skill that is needed. It is important because you can't be an effective reader or a skilled reader without this. It also leads to good sight word learning, and it creates a good way for you to have interventions if you need to, pairing it with another skill. Fluency. What is fluency? Fluency is a skill that's possessed by skilled readers that have the ability to read quickly and accurately and understanding the correct context. Fluence is largely determined by your sight vocabulary. It is important because if you're a fluent reader, you can spend less time decoding and focusing on your comprehension of your text. Also, if you're fluent, you'll waste less mental energy, according to the Fluency article, on decoding words and focusing more on the context of determining what type of context the word is coming from. Vocabulary. What is vocabulary? This is having knowledge of words and its meaning. It is important because having a large vocabulary can help with reading comprehension. Along, it can help your students in many different aspects. It can increase reading, comprehension, and their writing, which is all assets to making a student great. Code emphasis versus meaning emphasis. Code emphasis is an intervention where you teach words in isolation before teaching the context of them, according to the Satori article. Meaning emphasis is an intervention that is used to teach reading through the use of words being introduced by their context first, rather than isolation. Meaning emphasis was a teacher-made program, which shows me that it might have a little bit better usage in the classroom because it shows that teachers see every day what is going on and they really understand what is happening with students and what might benefit them. Orthographic mapping is the process used to retrieve words that are stored. This requires you to be able to make connections between oral sound and spoken words, and letters in written words, according to the Kilpatrick article. If a word has specific meaning to you, or you're able to attach some type of meaning to you, it will definitely be put into permanent memory, which will make retrieval for it easier. Orthographic mapping does require previous skills to be fluent and sufficient at this. It includes needing to be phoneme proficient before orthographic mapping can occur, because this is a conscious and unconscious skill. In conclusion, there are many different models that I've discussed that are theoretical models. Through each of these, although some of the requirements make them look a little different, they do all mirror each other for what the goal is and what the skills needed are. Also, throughout this process of learning, I've learned that the science of reading shows and states very much repeatedly throughout the course of this the importance of phonological awareness in all models and all skills, because it is a very basic foundational skill that was needed before much learning can be taught. These are the resources that I've used throughout this. Thank you for listening to my presentation.